Hey, just want to make a quick video about getting insurance set up. What's they doing? Yeah, getting so that's the latest chapter that I'm having a little bit of resistance about. It's getting my insurance lined up. So I just want to give you guys a quick breakdown of what I'm going through, and maybe it'll help you guys out. All right, so insurance. So that's one of the big hurdles. You heard on other YouTube channels that when getting into the trucking business, a big deal is getting your insurance together. It can be, and I've heard people's numbers going all the way up to like $30,000 a year, which is kind of crazy. But it's one of those things you got to get, and depending on what your money situation is, that may make or break you actually getting into the business. So I went and did some research to begin with, called around. Now I live in Delaware, so from the very beginning, the first couple of places that I called, they didn't write in Delaware, or they couldn't get policies in Delaware. So that was initial problem. Finally got in touch with a place called, I think they're called Brown & Brown. I think they're out of Ohio, and they were referred to me by Faye from Enterprise. So called them up. Also, side note, because I'm leasing a truck through Enterprise, that's an extra layer of complexity that insurance companies don't want to have to deal with. So finally got hooked up. Since Enterprise deals with, since that's their business, Faye had a couple of contacts for me. Called up one guy, wasn't too friendly, didn't seem like he wanted to do the deal. So called up, like I said, Brown & Brown. I will say that they were a little tough to get in touch with, and Faye even warned me about that. She was like, she has to call them a bunch of times. So finally got in touch with them, got a quote worked up, and it was actually a little bit higher than I thought. For a year, I think they quoted me at like 12,000, 12 or 13,000 a year, which was more than I was looking to go in with. My initial numbers, even though I was real conservative with it, those were like my ideal. It was like the perfect scenario. So anyway, it came in a little higher, wasn't in the world, so I was like, all right, I'll work with them. Also, just some basics of from what I understand about the insurance coverage that, like, I was told I'll need, and if you want to get in Hotshot, and I guess what you would need. So you have liability, then you have comprehensive, then you have collision, and then you also have cargo. So, and then you also have trailer. Actually, now I think about it. So those are the insurance coverages that you would look to get. They gave me a write-up. The first quote was for everything except, well, what I thought was everything except for the trailer. Yeah, except for the trailer. So like I said, it was a little high. Enterprise, they actually have it where you can get your comprehensive and collision through them, and it was only like a couple $100 a month. So I decided to go with that, and then they just lowered. Then I went back to Brown & Brown. They reduced the premium, so it came in like right around like 10 or 11,000, call it 12, for the year, which not too bad. Like I said, more than initial, but still very doable. So I was like, all right. Now the catch with Brown & Brown is that they won't run your motor vehicle record until you pay, at least so far. One of the things I got to circle back with them today and just be clear about when they actually will give you the actual numbers. Communicating back with the lady, she said, well, they wouldn't do it until I lock in the policy or until I gave them the deposit. But if it's a quote, in my mind, I'm thinking like, all right, that's cool. But if I give you the quote, they want 10% down, just so you know. They want it, so no, 20% down, because it ended up being like close to like $3,000, so 2,500. So I was like, all right, if I give you the money for the down payment, but then you run my motor vehicle record and the policy jumps up, like, where does that put me? So again, I didn't know that at the time, just figuring this stuff out on the fly. So I got to call them back and find out how that works. In the meantime, like I said, I got another quote from so I got another quote as I was waiting. I have that on the side. Kept shopping around. I actually got a flyer in the mail from, I think it's Dicus Insurance. Got that flyer, give them a call. They were just like, they offer commercial insurance. So I called them up. They ultimately ended up going back through Progressive anyway, and their quote was a little higher. She quoted me initially $16,000. Now that was with running my motor vehicle record, which I already printed mine out. And what I end up having, I have a speeding ticket on my license from 2016, and it's still on there. So a couple points. So that's what jacked my rate up to 16 grand a year. So the lady was really nice. Her name was Trish, in case you give them a call. She explained the whole thing to me. She said, yeah, it's the points on my license are what's causing it to be such an aggressive rate. But she said that she could see when the ticket was. She was like, well, it goes away, and she said in May it'll fall off my record. And with Progressive as one of the few insurance companies, even though they tend to be a little higher, that you can always adjust your policy throughout the year. So basically in a couple months I could adjust it and it would drop down. She was saying a lot of insurance companies don't do that. Sometimes they'll bind you for the year. So regardless of what happens, if you get the points fall off, they wouldn't adjust it until the end of the year. So something to know out there. So anyway, she quoted me at 16. She said if the points fell off, I would be down to like 13. Now, mind you, that's also with so I was just trying to compare apples to apples. That's also full. That's liability. That's the trailer. That's the cargo. That's everything except the comp and collision that Enterprise is going to give me. So makes me think that also when I go back to Brown & Brown that their quote is going to be higher, because I don't know that they put all that stuff in there, because the lady didn't ask me when she set it up. So, and they both were written through Progressive too. So I'm thinking that it's going to end up being the same whichever way I go. And I guess if it comes down to apples versus apples, I'm going to go with I guess it's Dicus, because I was able to get her right on the phone. Trish, she has, like, her husband, I think, runs the office. He was like able to do some funky calculations to figure out like how much it would be, when my payment would be when it went down. So anyway, just easier to work with. So like I said, for dollar, if it's the same money, I'm going with the people that are easier to get in touch with and just seem to be more helpful, giving me more information, because I don't know what I'm doing. So I need the person that I'm dealing with to ask me all the questions that I wouldn't just think about. So that's the insurance piece. So right now, also, she says she's going to shop around for me. Like, I have that higher quote right now. She's also going to shop around for me to see if she can find something else in the meantime, smaller places. But she did warn me that Progressives tend to be the most lenient when it comes to points on your license. They also have the thing, like I mentioned, where you can adjust throughout the year if your license, if you have points that fall off. But she said just to see if I can end up with something better, she's going to shop around for me, let me know in a couple of days, which I appreciate. So worst case scenario, I go back to Brown & Brown. They either, they run my record, my motor vehicle record, and then I end up, it'll jack it up, which I'm assuming, and then it'll either be the same or more than what I got quoted at Dicus or Dices. So that's where I'm at with insurance. Either way, I mean, it was, like I said, back to the original point, the insurance could be a deal breaker. I mean, I think if you're that far along, at least I had to tell myself that I was a little disappointed, and it was like discouraging, so to speak, because, I had a certain number in mind, and it's kind of drifted away from that on the higher side of things. But one thing I have noticed so far from making all these phone calls, asking all these questions, getting all these quotes, and is that I guess one of the big parts about starting your own business in general is that there's that emotional roller coaster where you get good news, you get bad news. You get good news, like that is very much a big part of my experience so far. Is just every day I start out the day with, you know, with intentions of getting certain things done and locking in certain things and being sure about a bunch of stuff, and then throughout the day just juggling those answers and, you know, all that stuff. At the end of the day, sometimes I end up in a better position, sometimes not. I don't know, but it is one of those things that I think that is, you hear people say like, I guess that's the tough part of the business. It's not tough, but it's just something that, for me, like I'm on my way to work now, where I work behind a desk is 9 to 5, and you know it's pretty straightforward. So now I'm running my own business, I'm doing my own thing, and these decisions and answers, questions and answers, have a little bit more significance to my life and my, you know, my overall well-being. So just seems to be a little bit more riding on it. So I don't know, just like I said, side thought or little side commentary about just getting set up with the business. So anyway, that's it for the insurance. Anybody have any strong connects for me in terms of insurance, specific to Delaware? Also, you know, that might be flexible with doing the lease situation. Please leave me any kind of contact or comment information down in the bottom. You know, if you found that this video was helpful to you, you know what to do with that. Yeah, and also, yeah, if anything I said seems like just not right, or like if you came through the same thing and you ended up finding a better way of doing it, something I'm saying just doesn't make sense, please don't hesitate to drop me a little comment in the bottom. You know, I'll get back to you and maybe hash it out. Maybe you can get me going in a correct path than where I'm going right now. You know, whatever. So, yeah, I guess thanks for checking in, and check you out in the next video. Thanks.